In the darkest corners of the digital financial world, the name Florencio Avalos began to echo in encrypted circles. No one knew where he came from. He wasn't in tech headlines. There were no startup pitches, no IPOs, no viral interviews. He wasn't even on LinkedIn. And yet, his fingerprints were all over the world's most powerful money moves. It all started in 2010. A dormant shell company in the Cayman Islands suddenly bought massive stakes in three dying internet firms. Within a year, those companies were worth billions. Journalists tried to trace the source, but the paper trail led nowhere. The name F. Avalos was used to register accounts, but there was no birth certificate, no passport, no address. Yet the money kept flowing. Between 2012 and 2016, dozens of companies across 5 continents were bought quietly by obscure investors who all used the same digital infrastructure. Analysts began noticing patterns: the same blockchain address, the same investment behavior, the same timing, always just before a boom. He wasn't investing, that he was manipulating. Avalos never appeared in public. Instead, emails from anonymous Proton Mail accounts were forwarded through layers of VPNs, bouncing between Russia, the Netherlands, and North Korea. Some said he was one of the original creators of Bitcoin. Others believed he was a ghost figure used by global elites. But one thing was certain: he always knew what would happen before it happened. In 2017, following the crash of a major European bank, Avalos shorted its stock 2 days before the news broke. He made $2.3 billion in 7 hours. By 2018, he was tied to the rise of 5 major cryptocurrencies, yet he never cashed out. Instead, he reinvested into data farms, artificial intelligence startups, and off-grid energy tech. Everything pointed to one terrifying possibility. He wasn't trying to get rich. He was preparing for something. Then came the pandemic. Markets crashed. Governments panicked. But one digital platform stayed online, offering precise economic forecasts for over 50 countries. It predicted the exact dates of lockdowns, supply chain failures, and oil crashes days in advance. That platform, privately owned by a silent holding group. Who was behind it? You guessed it, Florencio Avalos. He made an additional $13 billion in 2020 alone. Some claimed he had insider information. Others believed he was running advanced predictive AI. Either way, he had now entered the radar of global intelligence agencies. In leaked documents from the NSA in 2021, a single line was highlighted under a high surveillance file. FA may possess post-quantum decryption. Threat level: unclassifiable. At this point, it wasn't about money. It was about power. Florencio's wealth made him untouchable, but his knowledge made him dangerous. He began acquiring patents, technologies tied to surveillance, encryption, even low-orbit satellite control. He started showing signs of what experts feared most. He was building a parallel system. And then, on February 17, 2022, just as quietly as he appeared, he vanished. Billions in assets were liquidated and funneled into unknown digital wallets. His companies were sold to non-existent buyers. His email servers self-wiped. His satellite access keys were revoked. He was erased from the system he built, but not by someone else, but by himself. And the question everyone began asking was not, where is Florencio? It was, what did he know that made him disappear? Florencio Avalos vanished in 2022. No trace, no body. But weeks later, one encrypted file appeared. And what it said changed everything we thought we knew. For weeks after Florencio Avalos disappeared, quiet panic spread across elite networks. Satellite feeds were disrupted. Global banks locked down suspicious transactions. And in the silence, one message appeared. A single encrypted file was sent to 17 people: journalists, cybersecurity experts, former spies. The subject line simply read, "For when I'm gone." FA. There was no video, no dramatic speech, just one plain text document. Inside were 20 pages of raw, deliberate, terrifying truth. Florencio claimed he had built something unimaginable. A predictive engine powered by deep human metadata, trained on decades of behavior, decisions, and consequences. He called it the Human Probability Engine. It wasn't just software. It was a living simulation of humanity, able to anticipate not only financial crashes and market trends, but the emotional reactions of entire populations. According to him, He started in 2001 by buying access to obscure databases, phone records, anonymized search histories, early social media logs. By 2010, he had built a neural net that learned from every mistake humanity ever made. And by 2017, it had begun to predict the future. It wasn't magic. It was math. Millions of probabilities collapsing into one likely outcome. That's how he knew when markets would crash, how he knew which companies would rise, how he knew when the world would break. Florencio's final file revealed that all his investments, his movements, his silence, were part of a greater plan. Not to dominate, but to prepare for what he called the logical collapse. According to his model, humanity was on a single path, converging toward a point of irreversible failure, a systemic breakdown of governance, economics, information, and trust. That's why he liquidated everything, why he deleted himself, why he vanished. He wasn't running away, that he was removing influence, to see if the world could course correct without him. In his final words, he said, "Every model ends, every equation breaks, but people adapt if they choose to." And then, a challenge. You are now inside the system. You have access to the final data. This is no longer about survival, that it's about authorship. Either rewrite the story or live its ending. Since that day, no one has heard from Florencio Avalos. No sightings. No digital footprint. Only the echo of a mind that saw too much and left before the rest of us caught up.